So today, we want to talk about reframing problems. Y'all are all of you are chief problem solvers. You solve problems every single day, and you don't realize it. But what we want to talk about today is somewhat reframing the problem. And I want to share with you a little story. It's called the elevator story. And I don't know if everyone does read the paper, but who's been to the government center downtown? Who's ridden one of the elevators? They're incredibly slow. Most old buildings have very slow elevators. And so in this story, a lot of the tenants in an office building were complaining about how slow the elevator is. And they were complaining to the building manager. And they said the elevator's too slow. And they gave several recommendations on how to address it. And their comments were, you could replace it. You can update the elevator. You can update the software that monitors the floors. So they gave out all these suggestions on how they could solve the problem. And what's interesting is then, so this is what they did. They said the elevator's too slow. So they took these solutions to the building owner and said, make it faster. Put in a new lift. Upgrade the motor. Update the software. And the managers of the building took a step back and said, no, let's reframe that. People don't like waiting for a slow elevator. So what can we do? We can make the wait feel shorter. We can put up mirrors. Why would they put up mirrors? Because there's nothing more interesting than looking at yourself while you're waiting. Right? Okay? So this is serious. This is a case study. I said put up mirrors. Because while you're waiting, okay. Play music. We all make fun of elevator music. I don't know if elevators still, I haven't heard music on an elevator in a really long time. Install hand sanitizer, clean your hands while you're waiting for the elevator. So what the building managers did is they reframed the problem. They didn't ignore yes, these are certainly solutions, but they kind of reframed it and said, what's the problem? People don't like waiting for no one likes waiting for an elevator. So let's make the wait feel shorter and give people something to do. Is everybody still with me? I sent this to the mayor, the deputy city manager, and the city manager after that article was published about they want to spend $140 million on a new government center. Like, just put up some mirrors. I'll pay for the mirrors. That will solve the problem. So in all seriousness, this is going to be a discussion. And here's the situation. You're representing the seller of a single-family home that's under contract. The lender just called to inform you about the appraisal. It came in lower than the contracted sales price. Does this happen? Okay. So let's talk. What's the problem? What do y'all think the problem is? The appraisal came in lower than the contracted sales price. Okay. The appraiser, that's the problem. That's a problem, right? Okay. The appraiser. What's another problem? Okay, bad comps. Okay, so yes, that is a problem. What are some solutions to these problems? Okay, the appraiser is the problem. So turn them in. Get another opinion. Pull some other comps. Okay. So, pay the difference. All very reasonable solutions. Okay. So let's apply our reframing analysis. So here's the problem. The appraisal's too low. So what we say, adjust the appraisal, find more comps, call other agents, reduce the price. If we try to reframe this, what if we looked at it and said, the seller wasn't prepared for this. We didn't prepare our seller for a low appraisal. And a solution would be educate them on when listing their home, educating them who sets the price, options to adjust the value, points worth arguing. Because what could be the biggest problem is, can you really control the appraisal when it first comes out? I mean, there's very little you can do. I mean, so once the appraisal comes out, you can go right into solution mode and try to fight that, right? We help you all with that all the time. Hey, let's look at some comps. What did they miss? And Will Client talked about that on Monday. Some appraisers don't call you back. Some are, turning into tidewater. They don't even want to talk to you. So we're not ignoring that. This is a major problem, right? The appraisal. And we don't really know it's going to be a problem until it comes out. So maybe a way to reframe it is to prepare your seller. Prepare your seller for this happening and start discussing all this and educate them on, because we don't set the price. The banks set the price on what they're going to loan someone to purchase your home. And that's going to continue to be a challenge as rates start inching up, people have less money for a down payment, and values are also increasing. And that's something we tried to get the appraiser to talk about Monday is, how do you compensate for that? As values are increasing and you're using 6-month-old data, we can't just keep asking the buyer to come up with the difference. So, not saying this is the ultimate solution for everything. All of these are solutions, right? But what we're trying to talk about today is reframing this problem. Whereas maybe if the seller was more prepared, we'd be better able to adjust and adopt these solutions. Because if they're not educated, they don't know what they should do. And if you get to this point without educating your clients, these might be your only solutions. And then if someone can't come up with the difference or you can't find new comps, you're right, Kappa, the contract might fall apart. So the point here is reframing it. It's not to find the real problem, but rather see if there's a better one to solve. Not a lot of times we're so busy and we're time restricted is we've got to come up with a solution immediately, right? I've got 2 days to fix this. The appraisal's due. So maybe sometimes reframing the problem can help us figure out a better one to solve. And I thought about this a lot last week. The measure of success is not whether you have a tough problem to deal with, but whether it's the same problem you had last year. We haven't been in a market for a long enough period of time with multiple offers and low appraisals, but now we're here, and it's happening every day. And we don't want to have to keep dealing with the same problem. So we've got to think about how can we reframe it so it's a little easier to solve. Because y'all solve problems for your clients all the time. Sometimes you may think you're a firefighter and you're putting out fires. A fire is still a problem. And that requires an immediate solution. But if you've got time to think about how to reframe a problem, you may realize that there's a better one to actually focus on. And so, I want to go back one more slide. It's not to say what y'all are doing isn't the right way. Sometimes you've got to find the immediate solution and move on. But take a moment to think about how you could reframe some of the problems you run into, and there might be a better way to address them going forward, because they're going to come up. And you don't want to have to keep dealing with the same problem month after month, year after year, if there's a better way to look at it and reframe it. Now, I use that elevator story a lot because, one, I like things that are funny, and that makes me laugh, that a building manager would put up mirrors instead of fixing a slow elevator, right? That's a funny way to get you to think about another way to look at reframing an issue. Is either putting in a new motor, updating the software, is that going to reduce the 3-minute wait time down to 2 minutes and 25 seconds? Is it really worth that much? Or is it better to give people something to do while they wait? Is that the real problem? It's not about finding the real problem. It's just that's worth solving. It can give you a better solution. And so I want y'all to think about that. Next problem you have, when you have a little time to think about it, take a few minutes to try to reframe it. And think about, well, the appraisal's too low. Well, maybe everyone wasn't prepared. And you may not have time to do this. If this has already happened, you got to move to here. You're in solution mode. But think about going forward. Educating buyers on the process, educating your sellers about the process at different stages. That can make your problem solving so much easier. And that's what people pay us to do. They don't want to deal with any problems. They don't want it to be stressful. So you've got to think about how you can reframe that a little bit so it will reduce the friction and the stress involved in the transaction. Because as long as there are problems to solve in real estate, we will always have a job. We just want to always try to make our job a little easier to do and produce a better outcome for our client. That's the real end goal. It's not to keep doing the same thing over and over again, solving the same problems. It's gradually find a better way to do things. And that's what we're here to help you all do, is reframe those problems and find easier ways to do our job and help our clients. Because when you do that, it provides so much value for them in your relationship. So if we can help you reframe some of your problems, we'll be happy to do that. Think about that. It can be a really fun exercise when you take a little time to look at it. So I appreciate y'all being here today with us. Thank you.